Hi everyone, Leah here from EurekaCrystalBeads.com with another fun beading video for you. Before I get started, take a quick look at our channel, and if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll always know when we're posting new content. Today's project is a really fun woven bracelet that I think is fantastic for a myriad of fancy occasion. So we're calling this one the Soirée Tennis Bracelet. Beautiful for any fancy party or any time you're going to do anything where you feel like you want to jazz it up a bit. But I will absolutely say that I think this would be beautiful with a clean t-shirt and jeans and beautiful shoes as well. So definitely a nice versatile look, but I am thinking a bit more fancy for me for this one. So let me give you a close-up of what I'm going to be working with. I'm featuring here a 6mm pearl by Swarovski. This is pearlescent white, which is, I think, the most beautiful of the whites. It's not a shinier pearl, it's a little bit more of a satin finish, and it has a lovely subtle iridescence to it. I have 4mm Swarovski Crystal bicones. Here I'm choosing to use Pacific Opal 2x AB. I have a size 15 seed bead. You could use Miyuki or Toho or Czech or whatever you'd like. This one does happen to be a Miyuki. And of course, we'll link you below to everything that I've used. And another thing to note is that on our website, EurekaCrystalBeads.com, we have these beads in a utter rainbow of colors. So if you like this design, but the colors maybe aren't doing it for you, take a look over at our website. We have absolutely every color under the sun. You can certainly find a color palette that will please you. And then for my findings here, I have a tiara cast toggle. I have two 2mm crimp tubes, and I have two 4mm crimp covers. As far as my wire goes, I'm going to be using the fine diameter, the 014 in Soft Touch by Soft Flex. Oops, just a little bit left on my stool there. For tools, I have a standard crimper tool, which is meant to go along with a 2mm crimp bead. And I have my flex wire cutters. These are different than regular wire cutters. These cutters are specifically meant to cut flexible beading wires. So I wanted to do a video for our customers out there, or potential customers out there, who want the look of a intricate woven bracelet, but maybe you're not into the bead weaving yet. You're not used to using a thread and needle. So I wanted to give you something that would give you a really fun woven intricate look, but you can stick with the flexible beading wire and the crimp beads that maybe you're used to. So let's get started. All right, now first of all, you might be asking yourself, how much wire do I need? You're going to be cutting one long piece, and don't be intimidated by how long it is, because we're actually going to be working from the center out. So you won't be having to work with a really long piece as far as how it feels like to work with it. But the length of your bracelet is going to determine how long your string is going to be, and we're going to be weaving with it. So this can be a little tricky to figure out, and you don't want to come up short when you're, an inch away from your finished length, or your desired finished length. So I figured out you need about 6 inches of wire for every inch of woven bracelet. It's actually more like 5.75, but round up to 6 just to make it easy and to make sure that you're covered. So again, about 6 inches for every inch of the woven bracelet. Of course, your clasp is going to add some of that length as well, so just keep that in mind. We're going to start by taking our clasp. You can start with either the bar or the loop, or whatever clasp you'd like. I'm a big fan of toggles. I think they're so great because they're easy to put on yourself. You're going to make your two ends line up here. And this way, once you pull your toggle down, you know that your toggle is nicely in the center. And the last little thing we're going to do is we're going to get our crimp bead onto there. And you're going to put both wires through the crimp bead, going in the same direction. Again, hold those two wires level. And when you pull this down, everything ends up in the center. Okay, now, if you've never used a crimper tool before, I want you to notice that there's two little chambers in there. The one towards the tip of the pliers looks just like an oval or an eyeball, and the second one back looks kind of like a kidney bean or a pair of lips. It has a little dip down into it. We're going to be using that little pair of lips first, or that little kidney bean shaped chamber first. And what that's going to do is, rather than squish our crimp bead flat, it's going to give it a curve, and you'll see why in a minute. So I have that right there in the jaw of the pliers. And you want to make sure that your snugging that crimp up to that loop, but not so tight that your loop is gonna, that your toggle here is gonna be stiff. You want there to be a little bit of movement there. It just makes for nicer wearability. So that's what I have. And so now you can see that the crimp wasn't squished flat. It kind of mimics that shape of that kidney bean. And the reason that that's helpful is because now we're going to put our little kidney bean into the front chamber of the crimper tool up on its side like this, and we're gonna fold it in half. Once I get it in there, I'll give you a nice good view. Just like that, you can see that it's up on its side. And we're just gonna go ahead and squish. And if done nice and neatly, you're gonna see that little seam running right down that crimp bead. That's what you wanna see. And luckily, you don't have to be too neurotic about how tight your crimp is here or anything, because you're gonna have no cut ends of your wire here, so nothing is gonna slip off. So even if you're not 100% sure that you're crimped completely down, in this particular case, you actually don't really have to worry too much about that, because we're gonna be not cutting anything until the very end. But next, let's get our crimp cover on there. And my little trick for getting crimp covers on is I like to put them up like a letter C in that front chamber of my crimper tool, just like that second step of the crimp bead. And I find it just fits right over that crimp bead. I gently press it shut. It takes very little pressure. The biggest mistake people make with crimp covers is they immediately squish it too hard. And you can see that there's that little seam running down the middle there. We're just going to give it one more little squish very gently. Now, right now, our crimp cover might be able to slip off that crimp, but again, that's okay. This one's pretty good, but sometimes it does. In this case, it's okay because we're immediately putting on beads and we're beading after it, so it's not going to be going anywhere. Okay, so to start off our beautiful soiree tennis bracelet, you're going to go back to those first two ends, which again should be pretty level. If they're not, you're going to want to trim them a little bit. It'll just make them a little easier to work with. And we're going to start by sticking a crystal onto both ends. You can try your hand at being ambidextrous here, or you can just keep switching the wires in between your dominant hand, whichever is easiest. And then we're going to stick a seed bead onto each one. And then we're going to crisscross them through the pearl, going in opposite directions like this. There we go. Now, a trick here is you can see that my wires are just cleanly crisscrossing through. Your bracelet will lay nice and flat if that's the case, but sometimes if these tend to sort of wrap around each other like that, you can see that little twist there, that can cause some kinks in your bracelet. So just make sure that everything's going through nice and cleanly, straight through, and nothing is twisted. And you don't have to worry about pulling anything unevenly. Our center has already been established. And you gently pull it down. Just like this, and we have the start of our soiree tennis bracelet. So that beginning step is something that we'll do in reverse on the other side once we're completed to finish it off. But now what we're going to do is a repeated step over and over and over again. And what that's going to be is a seed bead, a crystal, and a seed bead on one wire, and then the same thing on the other wire. Just like this. Get them out of the way. And we're going to crisscross through another pearl. Again, just make sure that your wires are going through nice and cleanly and they're not twisted around each other. And you're going to gently pull everything down. And we get that beautiful look here. So let's do another one just so you can see how the pattern starts to come together. I'm going to do seed bead, bicone crystal, seed bead, bicone crystal, seed bead. And now another thing I want to mention is that you can play around with the amounts of beads you're adding, especially on the sides. So if you decide that you love this easy, nice, this is a ladder stitch, by the way. So where we have seed bead, crystal seed bead, if you added more there, you can get this same similar look, but a little bit different. You can have things bowing out to the side a bit more, or you can crisscross through more than one bead. So the idea of a ladder stitch is simply that you're putting something or some things on each side, and then you're crisscrossing through another something or some things. So as long as you have that concept down, you can get so many different looks with this really great beginner technique. And again, I love that this is something for the wire and crimp people out there that gives you a beautiful woven look if you've been not exposed yet to the bead weaving world with, you know, needles and thread. This is just such a fun project. So again, I crisscross through that pearl. I make sure everything looks pretty clean. Nothing's twirling and whirling around there where that pearl is. And another thing I like to do is I really like to work flat like this, and I like to see it come together nice and flatly. Oh, and just look how pretty. So pretty. You can also not only play around with the numbers of beads you have on the sides or that you're crisscrossing through, but definitely the sizes as well. And you can really get, like I said, a whole bunch of different looks with this really basic technique. So let's just show you one more before I cut away and come back to show you how we finish up. Seed bead, crystal seed bead. And it's a pretty quick project too. I mean, you're really going to have something really stunning finished in no time. It's a great gift idea because, again, it looks like it's more than just a simply strung bracelet. You'll really look like quite the pro to your friends and family members if you give these as gifts or if you do craft shows. Again, you're going to set yourself apart from the people who are just there selling regularly strung bracelets or elastic bracelets. And again, it's a nice, easy technique. Make a bunch of them in an evening, and you get something that's really, really fun. So I'm going to cut away and I'm going to get the rest of this worked up, and I will be back here in a minute to show you how we finish up. Okay, I'm back, and I have, as you can see, this beautiful tennis bracelet, our Soirée Tennis Bracelet, all done up. Now, what I've done is after my last pearl, I ended with a seed bead and a crystal on each side because, again, we're going to mimic what we did right here at the beginning. And that's where we are now. As far as how many beads you need, we went over how much wire you need, but about every inch or so is going to be about 4 pearls and about 8 crystals. So that's about every inch of woven bracelet. So that's how you can figure out how many you're going to need depending on how long you want to make your bracelet. Keeping in mind, of course, that, again, your clasp will add some of that length. So we're now going to take our 2 little ends here, and we're going to stick them in the same direction, going through our crimp bead. We're going to bring that down. You can see how we're going to get that same ending like we did in the beginning. Now, and if it's easier to work with, you can trim this down a bit. My ends are a little bit long, so I'm going to trim them down just a little bit because I know I'll still have plenty of wire to work with. Okay, we're going to go through the loop of the clasp with both wires going in the same direction. And now you're going to go, if you can loosen up that crimp if you need to, you're going to go back through the crimp, looping back around both wires. Just hold both wires together as if they were one wire. If you can imagine that, then it's really no different than crimping a single strand bracelet. And all 4 of these wires will go through our crimp bead. Just like this. And the best way that you can get this nice and tight is I like to lay it down flat. You're going to grab those 2 little tails sticking out, and you're going to hold the clasp in the other hand and pull the 2 little tails towards the beads. You can see how it starts to tighten everything up for you. And that's what we want to see. Perfect. So now we're going to get in there with our crimper tool. And again, we're going to put it in that kidney bean shape first. Give it a squish. That kidney bean up on its side and give it a squish. If you're still kind of fuzzy on crimping techniques, you can check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of great videos, and there are some that I go over crimping a lot more in depth. So we have a basic stringing video that goes over a lot of the basics of just simple stringing on a single strand, and it goes over much more granularly how to crimp a crimp bead. So if you're a little bit stuck still, you can definitely go check out that video. And again, make sure I'm squished nice and good. We're going to use our flex wire cutters here to trim off our little tails. And we're going to stick our crimp cover into our crimper tool, or however you like to put a crimp cover on. If you just want to hold it with your hands, whatever you do. I put that right over our crimp bead. Just like that. You can see that little opening. Now we're going to shut gently that crimp cover. So luckily, what we end up with is a something that looks like a silver bead covering our crimp bead. If you've never used crimp covers before, they're a great finishing technique. And this is our beautiful, beautiful bracelet. So let me try this on for you here. And again, I love the toggles. They're so easy to put on yourself. This is a beautiful, beautiful bracelet. It lends itself to being pretty fitted or slightly loose. If you have it too loose, I know some people really like bracelets to drape down their hand. It might flip up a little bit because it's a bit of a flatter bracelet. So it lends itself to being a bit fitted or a little bit loose like this. And what's nice is it's incredibly comfortable because we have the pearls there that are so nice and smooth. It's a really comfortable bracelet to where you won't even feel it. Again, that toggle is so easy to put on yourself, but you can certainly use any kind of clasp you like. And by the way, we do carry toggles and crimps and crimp covers and those metallic silver sea beads in all different shades. So if you want to do this in a copper theme, a rose gold theme, a gold theme, you can absolutely do that. So anything here that's silver, you can get in some different metals, and then you can totally change the look of the bracelet. And like I said before, you can certainly change the pearls and the crystal color as well. Another design option that you could consider when making this is, instead of doing a 6mm pearl in the center and a 4mm bicone on the side, you could do the reverse of that, and you could do a 6mm crystal, either round or bicone, as the center, and you could do the pearl on the outside, like a 4mm pearl, or even a 3mm pearl would be beautiful, and have that be the outside. So you could do a reverse look. You could even wear them side by side, and that would look really pretty for a layered look where they match, but they're still a little different. So yeah, absolutely stunning. Our Soirée Tennis Bracelet. All right, folks, thanks for watching. Make sure to visit us on over at EurekaCrystalBeads.com for everything I used in this video. And of course, we will link you below. And hopefully you want to make this stunner of a sparkly bracelet in every color of the rainbow, just like I do. And again, I can't tell you actually how comfortable this is. So I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.